I'm Matt Cadner from the Nebo Wealth team. Our mission here at Nebo Wealth is to advance goals-based investing for advisors and frankly for the industry as a whole. Today, we'll do that with another of our Perfect Fit portfolio series, but a little bit of a twist in that I'm going to show you a beta version, a new user interface that our developers have been working on to make the Nebo web application a simpler, more streamlined, and more intuitive. So here we're going to meet the Hendersons, Jake and Marianne. We're going to take Jake and Marianne and walk them through Nebo's five-step investment policy process: time horizon, risk tolerance, cash flows, legacy, target return, and ultimately the perfect fit portfolio that is optimal given all of these unique needs and circumstances for Jake and Marianne. So for time horizon, Jake and Marianne are 59 years old. They anticipate retiring at age 65 with longevity of 95. We have current assets of $2.4 million. And then we have cash flows. Now we can import cash flows from eMoney, Money Guide, Right Capital, or we can just use a simple a simple cash flow tool, saying anticipating Jake and Marianne saving $50,000 a year until retirement, and then withdrawing $110,000 for primary needs, again at retirement through longevity. We can then build in specific investment goals for Jake and Marianne. So here, Jake and Marianne live in the Northeast. It's cold, it's dark, crappy here in the winter. They want to retire to the sunny climes of Florida, better weather, and lower taxes. Jake is a fisherman. He'd love to have a Key West 239 with a couple outboards on there. And then Jake and Marianne have the idea of helping to pay for the kids' college education. So helping support their children, and then ultimately leaving a legacy of $1 million for their two children as well. So with these investment goals, we can then do a risk assessment. So we have a risk tolerance questionnaire within Nebo, built on the CFA's 6 aspects of risk. The key here for us is taking the risk questionnaire and developing a maximum loss threshold for Jake and Marianne, kind of the point that they reach across the table and start choking their advisor. And then we can take that maximum loss and then build a portfolio constraint out of that. From there, we'll move to the investment selection. So here today, we'll just do the simple stocks, bonds, cash, and alts, but you can see that we have the ability to do real assets, private assets, concentrated assets if you have a stock with a low cost basis, and even incorporating privately held business ownership as well. This is all customizable to the individual firm. And then we'll move to portfolio design. This is really where the rubber hits the road. We can see all of the goals for Jake and Marianne and the target return necessary to achieve those goals. So that is a return of, in aggregate here, 3.6 real. That's after taxes, fees, and inflation. And then we plot this out over here, the wealth target, given that 3.6% return, given the goals, given the cash flow needs. Then what Nebo will do is build a portfolio to keep Jake and Marianne out of the red zone and maximize the likelihood that their portfolio stays above the wealth target throughout longevity. And so that's a portfolio, 58% in equities, 20% in bonds, 20% in liquid alts, and 22% in bonds. Now, if the goals for Jake and Marianne change, their portfolio should change accordingly. So if they say, you know what, we already have a legacy gift, they can pay for their own kids' college education. Now we need 3% from assets instead of 3.6. And so now we'll build a new portfolio based on those new goals: lower target return, lower amount in equity. Very, very intuitive. At Nebo, we have a saying that a client should never take more or less risk than the client needs in order to achieve their goals. And so instead of rebalancing back to static portfolios, we can rebalance, we can reoptimize to new dynamic portfolios based on the new needs and circumstances. So for instance, if Jake and Marianne inherit $1 million, now they have 3.4 million in wealth, and then the target return for each of those goals actually goes down. And then based on the new circumstances, we can build a portfolio that is optimal to this specific set of goals. Of course, we can also say, well, now we have just experienced a windfall. We can do a little bit more dreaming. We can think about the possibilities of what assets we could have throughout retirement. We can put in a legacy, a target return of 4% based on the new wealth, and then see what portfolio develops with that new target return. So Nebo has the flexibility to go back and forth between a strict goals-based framework or move into a possibilities-based framework. With NEBO, clients' lives are dynamics, their portfolio should be dynamic, the asset allocation should be dynamic. Once we're satisfied with this, we can either go through our suite of viability analysis using NEBO's next generation Monte Carlo simulations and the different viability simulations, or here today, we'll just go directly to portfolio implementation. So the implementation, again, is customizable to the firm, to the individual. Here we just have some basic ETFs. Once we're satisfied, then we can either export the portfolio here to our partners at Advizon, or in this instance, I think we're set up here to export the portfolio to iRebal. So goals-based investing, kind of helping advisors move past what we see often as the taking the risk score, map that to a model, cookie cutter model portfolio. Here, building a portfolio based on each client's unique needs and circumstances, based on their own dynamic lives and how that evolves throughout their entire financial life. So thank you.